Hello, my name is Tristan Wiggs, and I am here to do my final presentation on a organization that I am familiar with. Today, I have chosen the Xcel Energy Network Operations Center organization. It was an organization that I used to be a part of, and through working there for almost 4 years, I really was able, I feel like, to key in on some issues that the organization had for itself, which is why I decided to analyze this organization and come up with some ideas to improve the organization, make it better. And yeah, so we'll get started. The Xcel Energy NOC. Network Operations Center is what NOC stands for. Just for some background information, has some serious turnover issues throughout 3 years of me being there. And I think this presentation could be used to be sent to the executive management team to really figure out why these issues in turnover are happening and motivational issues throughout the team, as well as just responsibility issues. I think the first area that we would need to cover for these issues is communication through the NOC. The Network Operations Center is a new organization, to be fair, but I think there needs to be better process and standards used for communication across the team. First thing that comes to mind is that the process for escalations is just not very well done. There's no specific way to explain when you're supposed to escalate an incident or an issue, and I think it's also hard because the people that they're supposed to be escalating to aren't easily reached, like say something through the nights, because this is a 24-hour operations center. So I think that communication process needs to be developed better. I think one of the best ways to start that is by having an escalation person available for all shifts throughout the day, having someone easily available to reach out to in order to make sure that this escalation process flows smoothly and there's a person in charge at all points in time instead of just having the network operation technicians on site. The next one would be incident communication. I think there is too much variance in the incidents between network operations employees. So someone may get an issue from a call that say is phone related or phone jack related, and they'll rate the issue low, and I think someone else will take that call and they'll rate it high. And I think we need to get better guidelines for the incidents and communicating where the levels need to be and what priorities mean, how much effort you're putting into these tickets in order to get communication across. I think all of this is really important when it comes to just network incidents related. Final issue for communication is business duty manager communication. Business duty manager is the person that the NOC escalates on very high enterprise level issues. And I think it should be easier to communicate with the business duty manager because sometimes it's hard getting hold of them. And I think that we just need to ensure that the process for business duty managers is also maintained for this new organization. So that's one of the areas. Next would be NOC conflict management. I think that conflict in the NOC was handled poorly throughout the many years there. The first thing I can think of is when people have issues with each other, it's not really brought up too often. I just know that there's been issues between team members in the NOC organization, and the conflict is never handled well. It usually just deals with ignoring, which is something that's obviously very against what best practice would say for conflict management. They would choose to ignore each other and just leave each other be, or just try to separate and work separate shifts from each other, which is not inclusive towards a team environment. So I think that's something that needs to be handled well. I would say probably doing some conflict management training would be probably good for a manager and a team. From a biblical perspective, I know that best way it says to resolve conflict is privately. So I think there needs to be some training around being able to reach out to each other reach out one-on-one and really just be able to resolve conflict within each other. And if you can't resolve that conflict with each other at a personal level, then you get management involved and rely on that management's conflicts training in order to resolve issues that can happen. One of the things I know most people argue about and have conflict over is some of the process stuff for the Network Operations Center. So I think that this conflict management and communication portion of the previous kind of go hand in hand, because if we're resolving communication issues, I think it also goes into conflict and conflict management and resolving those issues before they even become issues. So I think this can all, step on top of each other in a way. Third thing is NOC leadership. I think the leadership of the NOC, I use the term island leadership because I think that the Network Operations Center sits over here on one portion, and the island of leadership for the NOC sits over here on a completely different island. They don't feel like they're one cohesive unit or one team. It feels like they're part of two different teams. There's a lot of blame game that goes on. When there's an issue that happens over here on this island, they blame this team over here on the other island. And then same thing when something's happening over here, they blame the people on this side. And there's no real cohesiveness within the team. Another thing I think with the leadership is that they tend to not show the employees the value in the position and the impact they have on their company. Regular day-to-day basis, they make you feel like you are, part of something that is just, replaceable. You don't get the sense of value. You don't allow for growth into leadership for the employees, which I think could be huge. And there's just no motivation for the workers to do better in day-to-day operations. I think you find with that high turnover rate that I mentioned earlier that the employees would rather leave than find the motivation to do better throughout their jobs and careers for some. So I think that starts at leadership over here on this island. You need to find a way to get this to be a team where they're coming together and working together the best way possible to allow the organization to move forward and really, have people take responsibility and value in the work they do in the Network Operations Center, which is what we want from all employees. Final thing would be organizational culture and change. And once again, I think this kind of goes with the last slide as well, which the leadership culture needs to be there first in order for these teams to really be effective. But we'll start with this. The health of the organization starts with the NOC. So the NOC is the primary tier and something that trees out for the entire network organization, because the NOC is in charge of reaching out to every separate network team in the bigger organization, Xcel Energy. So I think that it is up to the NOC to set that standard for organizational culture. I found that all incidents root from the NOC. Everyone is calling the NOC in order to call an issue in, say that they're having network issues or phone issues or SCADA issues. And when these incidents all come from the NOC, there needs to be a culture that, hey, we are the front lines for these issues, and it is up to us to, relay this information to the proper team, get proper circuits and teams involved. And when this happens, I think that the blame game occurs too often. The Network Operations Center submits a ticket to a team, and that team will not take responsibility for that issue, and they'd rather push it somewhere else. So we need to make sure that the blame game doesn't occur and that culture is there that, hey, we need you to take care of this issue. We want you to take care of this issue. That needs to start from the top with an organizational culture, and positive change needs to occur there. I think this goes into the final note I have on organizational culture and change, which is we want the team to succeed, and we need to change the culture of the Network Operations Center that when, one person's succeeding, it's the team succeeding. When tickets are being closed and being responded to in efficient timing, it's really going to benefit the entire company, because we're going to have less network issues and just less issues overall in general. The last slide I have would be 2 recommendations for positive change within the Network Operations Center. And the first one is I have change culture and value of NOC. We need to allow for movement within these network side of things. We need to allow for responsibility from each of these operations center technicians as well as other network teams. We need people to own what they do and really promote that they are resolving these issues in timely and efficient manners, as well as, showing each other respect. We need dedication to the organization. overall. We want people to really buy into the culture that Xcel Energy has everywhere else. It's just this certain organization that people have struggled buying into, and I think that comes from culture and leadership mostly. Number two, I think we need to make sure proper training is received. We're going to allow the NOC employees to receive training for work, for conflict, communication. I think that training is something that can really help all these people. We need to make sure the same work is being performed across every level. The same processes are being followed, same communication processes, same incident processes. So I think if we can just really ensure that proper training is received on those three levels: incident, communication, and probably leadership. If there's training at those three levels, I think this organization will really do a lot better through the years. So those are my recommendations to the executive team to how to improve the NOC organization as a whole, which is more just a department within Xcel Energy. But I think this could be really beneficial if all of these things were hit, and would improve the team a lot. Appreciate you taking your time listening to me. Hope you enjoy. Thanks.